Day 28. Defining success on your own terms. As people move through life, they are constantly exposed to ideas about what success should look like. These ideas come from many different sources. Family members pass on their beliefs, schools promote certain definitions of achievement, workplaces reward specific outcomes, and society continually presents images of what a successful life is supposed to resemble. Over time, these messages become so familiar that many people stop questioning them altogether. Without realizing it, they begin pursuing goals they never consciously chose. They follow paths that appear desirable because those paths have been praised by others. They seek approval, status, recognition, financial achievement, or professional advancement because they assume these things will automatically produce fulfillment. In some cases they do. In many cases they do not. One of the more surprising experiences people encounter as they mature is discovering that success and fulfillment are not always the same thing. A person may achieve goals that once seemed incredibly important and still feel dissatisfied. They may reach a particular income level, earn a respected title, purchase the home they always wanted, or accomplish something that appears impressive to others, only to find that the internal sense of satisfaction they expected never fully arrives. This experience is more common than most people realize. The reason is not that achievement lacks value. Achievement can be deeply rewarding. The problem arises when people pursue goals without first examining whether those goals genuinely reflect their own values. There is an important difference between pursuing something because it matters to you and pursuing something because you believe it should matter to you. From the outside, the behaviors may appear identical. Two people may work equally hard, pursue similar careers, or strive toward comparable goals. Yet internally, their experiences can be very different. One person is moving toward a vision that feels personally meaningful. The other may be following a script they inherited from family expectations, social pressure, or cultural assumptions. Eventually, this difference becomes difficult to ignore. The individual pursuing goals that align with their values often experiences a sense of purpose, even when the work is difficult. Challenges feel worthwhile because they serve a direction that feels authentic. The individual pursuing goals primarily for external validation often experiences a different pattern. Success may provide temporary satisfaction, but it rarely creates lasting fulfillment because the achievement is disconnected from something deeper. This raises an important question. How do you know whether your definition of success genuinely belongs to you? One useful approach is to examine the motivations behind your goals. Imagine achieving a goal you currently consider important. Then ask yourself why it matters. Once you have an answer, ask why that answer matters. Continue this process several times. Often, the deeper motivations begin to emerge only after the more obvious explanations have been exhausted. For example, a person may initially say they want to earn more money. There is nothing wrong with that goal. However, the deeper reason might be financial security, freedom, the ability to support family members, or the opportunity to spend more time doing meaningful work. Another person might discover that their desire for higher income is primarily connected to social status and external approval. The distinction matters because different motivations create different experiences. Goals connected to personal values tend to remain meaningful even when progress is slow. Goals connected primarily to comparison or validation often lose their emotional power shortly after they are achieved. One of the challenges of modern life is that comparison makes it increasingly difficult to define success independently. Every day, people are exposed to carefully curated images of other people's lives. They see professional achievements, financial milestones, luxury purchases, physical transformations, and exciting experiences. What they rarely see are the sacrifices, struggles, compromises, disappointments, and trade-offs that accompany those outcomes. As a result, many people begin measuring their lives against standards that may not even be relevant to their own priorities. Someone who genuinely values family may become preoccupied with career achievements because they feel behind compared to others. A person who values creativity may spend years pursuing financial goals that hold little personal meaning. Someone who desires simplicity may feel pressure to pursue a lifestyle that appears successful but does not actually align with their values. This process often creates a subtle but persistent tension. Outwardly, life may appear successful. Internally, something feels disconnected. The source of that discomfort is often the gap between external achievement and personal alignment. The most fulfilled individuals are not necessarily those who achieve the most by conventional standards. Rather, they are often those whose lives reflect a clear understanding of what matters most to them. For one person, success may involve building a thriving business. For another, it may involve creating a strong family. For someone else, it may involve mastering a craft, contributing to a community, achieving financial independence, or maintaining a life that prioritizes freedom and flexibility. None of these definitions is inherently superior to the others. Problems arise only when people pursue one person's definition of success while secretly longing for another. This is why self-awareness remains so important throughout the personal growth process. Without self-awareness, it is easy to adopt goals that look impressive but feel empty. With self-awareness, decisions become more intentional. The focus shifts away from appearances and toward alignment. Success becomes less about meeting external expectations and more about creating a life that reflects genuine values. This does not mean abandoning ambition. In fact, many highly ambitious people are deeply connected to their values. The difference is that their ambition serves something meaningful rather than serving comparison alone. Their goals are expressions of who they are rather than attempts to prove their worth. Perhaps this is one of the most liberating realizations a person can have. You do not need permission to define success for yourself. You do not need every goal to make sense to other people. You do not need your life to resemble someone else's version of achievement. What matters is that the direction you are moving in reflects the values you genuinely hold. As you approach the final days of this journey, take some time to consider what success truly means to you, not what it meant 5 years ago, not what others expect it to mean, not what social media suggests it should mean. What does it mean now? The answer may be different from what you once believed, and that is perfectly normal. Growth often changes not only who we are, but also what we value. The more clearly you understand those values, the easier it becomes to build a life that feels successful from the inside as well as the outside. Because in the end, success is not merely about achieving more. It is about ensuring that what you achieve is actually worth pursuing. Reflection questions. 1. How do you currently define success? 2. Which parts of your definition come from your own values and which come from external expectations? 3. Have you ever achieved something important and still felt dissatisfied afterward? 4. What matters most to you at this stage of your life? 5. If nobody else's opinion mattered, what would success look like for you? Daily action step. Write your own personal definition of success in one paragraph. Avoid mentioning status, comparison, or other people's expectations. Focus instead on the values, experiences, relationships, and contributions that matter most to you. Keep this definition somewhere visible and revisit it regularly. Success affirmation. I define success according to my values, my priorities, and the life I want to create. I pursue goals that are meaningful to me and build a future that reflects who I truly am.